Good morning. This is in continuation with the previous class. In the previous two classes, we had been seeing about research. We have been reading about the methods of research, characteristics of research. Today, let's begin the class with the objectives of research. What is the primary motive of one doing a research? The objective may vary depending upon the discipline that one chooses or the topic and the study aim, but there are certain common goals, and these common goals and objectives, why there is an objective? The objective is to help in knowledge discovery, analysis, and application. There are certain common goals which we are going to look into in the objectives of research. That would be the first point is exploration. Exploration is investigation of new ideas, new phenomena, or new uncharted area, something which is not being explored till now, a particular area where a researcher studies. Why is it done? It aims to answer unexplored questions and expand understanding. There can be an understanding to a particular extent. When something is explored more, then the understanding and the knowledge, that area itself expands. So the key point in objective of a research is exploration. Next is description. Description is to describe or document the behaviors, the characters of the research. Whatever the researcher has done, it has to be documented. That's description. It provides an accurate portrayal of subject. Why do you describe? Why do you write everything? What is being done? It gives a great explanation of the subject that one is dealing with. This is the second point. The third one is explanation. Something has been already described, but it is not possible for others to understand it. So there are this key point is explaining whatever is described. And it also explains why this particular research is being taken, what are the mechanisms and relationships of whatever is being researched. In explanation, one could find patterns, correlations, and causal factors. The fourth one would be prediction. When someone does a research, he or she will also try to predict the outcome of the research and the future trend of the research or the behavior of a research. So to predict, we use data, theories for accurate anticipation. So these are the first 4 points. Then we have evaluation. Evaluation is to assess if a research is done, it has to be evaluated by a team or an external or somebody else who is already an adept in this particular field. Why should this be done? Only then we would understand whether it is effective, and the impact can be identified through evaluation. It also identifies the strengths, weakness, and implications of the particular research which was done. The next point is comparison. Comparison, as you know, it's the regular comparison. When something is compared, it gives an analysis of the similarities, the differences, or the trends between two variables. It helps to determine relative effectiveness of different approaches. So when there is a comparison, the conclusion of comparison should give an answer which is effective. When two or three variables are compared, the final answer or the output should be an answer to which variable is effective. So that is also an objective of research. Next point is hypothesis testing. Once a researcher begins a research, he defines or he gives an hypothesis. That hypothesis has to be tested. Only then he would be able to confirm or he would be able to refute whether it is correct or incorrect, right? And this hypothesis will generally go with theories or previous observations. Next, we have theory generation. Sometimes certain researchers would end up in developing a new theory or new concept, and it synthesizes evidences and identifies pattern. So something that has to be newly given to the world, it has to have evidences and it has to give a patterns. how this particular theory is given to the world, it has to have a pattern. There has to be examples, and finally, a theory is developed. The ninth point would be problem solving. Problem solving is it is applicable to practical any research with given output, and the output should be practical enough to solve the existing troubles or problems. That is why a research is being done. The output of a research should give an answer to a practical problem, and it should develop strategies how a particular problem can be solved, or it should give a recommendation to handle real world challenges. The last one is knowledge contribution. Every research would give a it will contribute towards knowledge improvement in that particular field. It advances understanding, stimulates inquiry, and fosters innovation. It will give any research will give a deeper understanding of an existing idea, or it makes someone think, or there would be new innovations. So there are main key objectives of a research. The objective of a research in general vary according to the discipline or the field that one is doing a research with. However, these 10 objectives would be the same for all research fields. Ideally, from UGC-NET point of view, there would be questions based on this objectives, for which we need to understand the keywords. The keywords could be the objectives of research could be exploration, description, explanation, prediction, evaluation, comparison, hypothesis testing, theory generation, problem solving, and knowledge contribution. From these keywords, we could understand the idea of the objective. So we have to, from UGC net point of view, all that we have to remember is the 10 keywords. And from each keyword, as the word states, from the particular word, we will be able to understand the use or understand what is the objective of the research. So with that objective, we would go to the second part of the types of research. Last week, we had seen a couple of research, the types of research, and this would be the final part of the type of research. So in view of our net preparation, it's ideal. There's research aptitude. There are three parts to it. In understanding or mastering or learning research aptitude, it can be learnt in three parts. The first part could be research. What is research? The general meaning and the definition, etc. Then moving on, we have to know about the characteristics of research, and that is different from objective. Characteristic is different from objective. We have to know that. Then we have to know the objectives of research, and the final part could be the types of research. These are the three important sectors or sections with respect to research aptitude. And if we understand this, it would be easy for us to understand the research aptitude. Right. Research method, this is just an introduction. Research methods vary based on objectives and context. Each type serves a distinct purpose in knowledge generation and application. Last week, I think after completing this, we will go through all the types of research. We begin with action research. Any research which is known as action research would have a participatory approach, solving immediate problems. And it involves collaboration with stakeholder. Stakeholder is none other than the person who's involved in the research or the beneficiary, right? Action research, a researcher should be participating in the solving of problems, and there is a lot of people involved, including the stakeholders. A school improving classroom management is one example. There are a couple of other examples stated in the PPT for us to easily understand and identify. The examples or the main contributors of UGC-NET question. These kind of examples, this is just a simple, these are maybe simple examples, but you will have examples like them. A school implements new teaching method to improve student engagement and evaluates its impact. Here, a real-time approach or real-time research is done with the students and with the teacher. So there is a collaboration. A company tests a new workflow to enhance employee productivity and gathers feedback for improvement. And again, if you look into it, there is an action involved from the company employees as well as the company higher ups. And then if an hospital develop and assess a new patient care protocol to reduce waiting time, this action research would definitely involve patients and the people from the hospital. A community launches waste management program and refines it based on residents' participation. So there would be a conversation or feedback collected from the participant. Accordingly, the community waste management program may be tailored. And these are a couple of examples for action research. Moving on, we have historical research. As the name goes by, history. History is analyzing the past or story of the past of any place, right? It analyzes past events, documents, or artifacts used in history, sociology, and cultural studies. So these are a couple of uh, play or couple of genres where we have historical research studying the industrial revolution's impact. And if we look into our country, we will study the impact of leaders, impact of movements. Given one example here is non-violence movement. We have many movements in our, we had, right? Chipko movement, the other movement, anything that is studied, Sal Satyagraha, anything related to do with history that has happened in the past is falls under this category of historical research. Analyzing ancient manuscripts to understand early medical practices, researching World War II propaganda effects on public opinion, examining the evolution of women rights movement over the centuries. This is simple. Moving on to next thing is next research is case study research. Case study research is based on a particular case or a couple of cases. It is an analysis of handling, of taking one or two cases and analyzing it. It is in-depth examination of a single or few cases. Cases here literally mean not a crime scene alone, any event, right? Explores complex issues in real-world context. It is used in business, psychology, and education. The word cases is not pertaining to our legal cases. It is a happening in anything. It could be in a business. In a business, there would have been a strategy which is used, and that can be analyzed in psychology and in education. Examples: a business researcher studies Apple strategy for product innovation. A political scientist analyzes a country's response to an economic crisis. A psychologist examines a patient with a rare mental health disorder. A medical researcher studies the long-term effects of a specific treatment on a patient. So that researcher, it is patient specific and treatment specific. It goes it goes on case to case basis. Moving to next is ex post facto research. Right. Ex post facto. Ex post facto, this hyphenated word, it indicates that what happens after a variable. The events, the aftermath, the events that occur afterwards is being studied. Studies a relationship between variables and after events. There is no direct manipulation by the researchers. Impact of socio-economic status on academic achievements. So it is best understood with the examples. Studying the effects of childhood nutrition on adult cognitive development. So the research is done on an adult. Research is done on adult, and it also deals with the nutrition, child nutrition. If it is done on a child, the aftermath, if there is a good nutrition given to a child, it will reflect in his adult ages. And analyzing the relationship between social media usage and mental health. A prolonged usage or a long usage of social media will have an after effect on the mental health of people. So the after effect of social media is studied. Investigating how past smoking habits influence lung cancer rates. So the smoking habits, the research is done on that, and the outcome is analyzed, lung cancer. Examining the impact of online learning on students' academic performance post-pandemic, right? The influence of online learning is investigated, and the result is academic performance post pandemic. That is ex post facto research. The outcome is analyzed, the result is analyzed. Moving on to the next research is analytical research. Analytical research examines and interprets data to uncover patterns. It answers why and how questions, evaluating the effectiveness of any policy. Examples would be evaluating the effectiveness of different vaccination policies during a pandemic, assessing the economic impact of demonetization in India, comparing the success of renewable energy policies in different countries, and analyzing the factors influencing voter behavior in an election. This is all these need an analysis, a complete analysis. Analytical research will basically answer why this is happening and how this is happening. Next, we have survey studies. It, as the name indicates, it goes with the sample. Survey is nothing but a sample. It goes with sample, it gathers information from sample populations, uses structured tools like questionnaires. So we may expect a question something like that. Which survey uses questionnaires a lot? And then we will have an option giving us the options from the research, the types of research. So maximum questionnaires, many research use that, but maximum it is used in survey studies, because survey studies is based on the questionnaires, on the answers of questionnaires. This is the most important research which chooses maximum questionnaires. It is common in sociology, marketing, and public health, because all these areas requires a lot of survey to be done, right? In marketing, it is marketing happens only with surveys, and public health also happens with surveys. Conducting a customer satisfaction survey for an online shop platform, measuring employee job satisfaction in a multinational company, polling public opinion on climate change policies, gathering student feedback on university facilities and faculty. According to the survey, there can be changes for improvement. Next is logic-based research. It uses deductive or inductive reasoning. Deductive is from something that is known to unknown. Inductive is from something that is unknown to known. Constructs arguments and validates conclusion. Applied in philosophy, mathematics, and theoretical sciences. Using deductive reasoning to test if inflation impacts consumer spending, right? Applying logical analysis to verify mathematical theorems, examining how ethical frameworks influence AI decision making, using logical constructs to determine the effectiveness of philosophical arguments. A couple of examples. Next, deductive research starts with the theory and tests it through observation, moves from general principles to specific conclusion. Examples, testing if all plants need sunlight with experiments. right? This is deductive from something that is known to a specific conclusion. The best example is this. We generally read that all plants need sunlight for growth, and that is a general idea. From that general idea, we boil down to finding out whether all the existing plants across the globe need sunlight, or is there a couple of plants which need minimal sunlight, or are there plants which can grow without sunlight. From general to specific, testing whether a new drug follows the expected biological reaction, verifying that increased screen time leads to lower sleep quality, checking if regular exercise improves cardiovascular health, testing if employee incentives improve work efficiency in corporate settings. Okay, generally these new drug, it would have followed general principles. And when the outcome is given, whether it gives the expected reaction. Increased screen time is general, and from that, a specific conclusion whether it happens in all the people, in everyone who's using screen for a long time, whether there is lower sleep quality. Or from general to specific, there's one term which comes often in paper one. This deductive research and inductive, from general to specific and specific to general. Deductive is from, if you remember one of the points, the other becomes easy. From generally known facts, we move to specific conclusion, that is deductive research. Next, we have inductive research. Just give me 1 minute, please. Right, I'm sorry. We have inductive research, which is just the opposite of deductive. It is developing generalizations from specific observations, moves from particular instance to broader theories, observing plant growth in sunlight to form a hypothesis. So a plant is observed, and only when it grows with the help of sunlight, it makes us conclude that plant grows better with the help of sunlight. A general hypothesis is concluded. Observing different classrooms and forming a theory on best teaching methods, studying emerging fashion trends and predicting future styles, analyzing customer purchase behavior to develop a new marketing strategy, observing the behavior of remote workers to understand productivity patterns. These are good examples. Now, we have something: formation, interaction, or inquiry-based research. Now, this research focuses on active exploration, questioning, and collaboration. It engages subjects or communities in co-creating knowledge. Right? This is the role of this research is making us question, improving the critical thinking. Right. In this investigation, for examples would be investigating the impact of AI on workplace productivity, exploring indigenous knowledge in sustainable agriculture, understanding the psychological effects of social media on teenagers. For all this, there has to be a lot of interaction done. For doing all this research, there is a lot of questioning, inquiry-based research. We ask a lot of questions, we get a lot of answer, and then we finally formate what is the answer to each of these questions. Now we have structured research. Structured research, as the word goes, it begins with clear objectives. Again, it uses questionnaires, surveys, and experiments. There, it was only in the survey studies, the research is based only on surveys. Here, there are experiments also carried out in structured results, right? Customer satisfaction survey with Likert scale ratings, conducting a standardized exam to assess student knowledge using a Likert scale. It is a name of scale survey. Likert scale survey, it is a type of survey to evaluate customer preferences, testing a specific scientific hypothesis in a controlled lab experiment, running a clinical trial with predefined participant criteria and testing protocols. Now, unstructured. This structured already has a methodology. It has clear objectives and it will follow certain rules and it will not deviate from those rules. When we say unstructured, it is open-ended, flexible, and it is exploratory. It will explore all the possibilities. Whereas in structured, it is just the opposite. There is no necessity or need for exploration. Here there is. Uses qualitative methods like interviews, interviewing individuals about work-life balance, conducting open-ended interviews on people's work-life balance experience, observing consumer behavior in a shopping mall without predefined metrics, collecting qualitative feedback on new technology without using a formal questionnaire. Here, questionnaires are not generally used. Studying the effects of art therapy on mental health through open discussion. That is why it is open ended. It accepts all the possible answers. Now we have process based. Process based, already there is a process or a workflow in place, and that particular workflow is analyzed. Examine steps and mechanisms leading to an outcome. So we have for education, if we study in a school in a particular year, there is a process, there is a workflow. We begin studying, there we have quarterly exams for students. In the case of students, we have one first term exam, second term exams, and then the final outcome is given after after analyzing the entire semester or the entire year. So there is a process already in place. That process requires attendance, that process requires application, the process requires internal skills, everything. That process is researched or analyzed to find if the outcome aligns with the process. Aims to optimize processes in various fields. Investigating how supply chain management influences product delivery efficiency, studying the process of learning a new language among adults, analyzing software development methodologies for improving coding efficiency, evaluating steps in disaster management to improve emergency responses. Next, diagnostic. This would be the final research methodology. Sorry, not research methodology, research type. Determines or confirms conditions, disease, or problems used in clinical and medical research, evaluates diagnostic tools' effectiveness and accuracy, assessing the accuracy of new COVID-19 testing method, studying the effectiveness of AI-based medical imaging for early cancer detection, evaluating mental health screening tools in workplace environments, comparing different methods of diagnosing diabetes in high-risk population. Right. So these diagnostic tool is definitely used to diagnose something. So with this, we complete all the research types. All the research types. We actually complete the entire topic of research aptitude with this. So I would like to give a very quick recap. I'll stop sharing the screen so that I could give a recap, right? Can someone tell me whether the screen sharing is stopped? Are you able to, are you still seeing my PPT? Okay, fine. A quick recap of whatever was done in the previous classes on research. Right. So research, we began with research and the definitions and what various people had told about research. Then we moved on to objectives and characteristics. And the most important is the classification of research type, which began with basic research. And what would be the definition? It is conducted to enhance the fundamental knowledge without practical application. The keywords that are used to identify whether it is basic research is fundamental, theoretical, knowledge driven. Example would be studying the properties of a new material. And what are the methodologies used to do this? Theoretical analysis, laboratory experiments. Next, we move on to applied research. Second type of research is applied research. It is aimed at solving specific practical problems using existing theories, right? It is aimed to solve practical problems and it uses the theories. The keywords to identify whether it is an applied research is practical application and problem solving. Example, developing a new drug to treat a disease. In each of the PPT, there are a couple of relevant examples given. And methodology, field studies, clinical trials. The third one is action research. Action research is a participatory approach focused on solving immediate problems within a specific context through iterative cycles. Participatory, problem solving, iterative. These are three words with which we could identify. It is a cyclical process of planning, action, observation, and reflection. Next, the fourth one is quantitative research, which involves the collection of analysis, numerical data to identify patterns, relationship, and trends. Quantitative, numerical data, statistics, measurement. These are the keywords. And surveys, experiments, statistical analysis. Fifth is qualitative research. Qualitative research explores phenomena through non-numerical data, focusing on meanings, experiences, and description. It is the keywords to identify are descriptive, thematic, exploratory, and it involves interviews, focus groups, content analysis. Next, we have mixed methods research, which combines both qualitative and quantitative. Next, we have descriptive research, which aims to accurately and systematically describe a population or a situation or a phenomena. Descriptive research, the keywords would be observation, description, documentation. And here the methodology used is observation, survey, case studies. Next, we have experimental research, which investigate causal relationships by manipulating one or more variables and observing the effect. The words manipulation, control, causality can be used for experimental research, and the methodology is controlled experiments, randomized controlled trials. Correlational research is the next type, where it examines the relationship between two or more variables without manipulating as such as it is. The words could be relationship, association, prediction. And the methodology is statistical analysis of data sets to identify correlation. Next, we have longitudinal, which involves a repeated observation of the same variable over an extended period. The keywords could be overtime, repeated measures, development. And the methodology used is survey or assessment conducted at multiple time points. It's not just the same point, at multiple time points. Next, we have exploratory research, which is conducted to investigate a problem not clearly defined. The problems would not be clearly defined. It is aiming to gain insight and familiarity for more rigorous research later. The keywords are exploration, insight, preliminary, and we have the methodology, which is literature review, expert interview, and pilot studies. These are the methodologies used in exploratory research. The 12th one would be cross-sectional research. It observes a defined population at a single point in time or over a short period, providing a snapshot of variables of interest. Snapshot, one-time observation, prevalence. These are the keywords used in this type of research, and the methodology is survey, observational studies conducted at a single point time. Next would be case study research. Case study is an in-depth analysis of a single case or a small number of cases within the real life context. In-depth contextual, single case are the key words. And we have interviews, observation, document analysis focused on the case. The next type would be historical research, which involves studying past events to understand the present and anticipate potential future effects. So the keywords to identify this type of research is past events, historical context, archival. An analysis of primary and secondary historical documents, artifacts, or the methodologies used. 15th would be ex post facto research, investigates how an independent variable present prior to the study affects a dependent variable without manipulation. Ex post facto research has the keyword after the fact, retrospective, casual, comparative. And the methodologies used to do this research is analysis of existing data, matching groups based on variables of interest. Next, we have analytical research, which involves critical evaluation and analysis of existing information to understand complex phenomena. The keywords that is used in analytical research are critical analysis, evaluation, interpretation. And then they use the methodology of logical reasoning, synthesis of information from various sources. Next, we have survey research. Survey research is based on collection of data from a predefined group of respondents to gain information and insight on various topics of interest. The keywords could be questionnaires, sampling, self-report, and the methodology is structured questionnaires, interviews, or online surveys. Next, we have ethnographic research, which is an immersive observation and participation in a daily life of subjects to understand their culture and behavior. Ethnography is studying about culture and behavior. So the keywords could be culture immersion, participant observation, and the methodology used here is participant observation, field note, and interview. Next, we have grounded research theory, which develops theories through collection and analysis of data grounded in real world observation. That is theory development, data driven, and it is inductive. And it uses a methodology of data collection, analysis, coding, constant comparison. Next, we have phenomenological research, which focuses, its focus is to understand the human experience from the perspective of those who are experiencing them. Now, this phenomenology uses the keywords of lived experience, consciousness, or perception, and then it includes the methodology of in-depth interview or thematic analysis. Next, we have narrative research. It examines and interprets personal stories to understand how individuals make their sense of experience. Then, this narrative research uses the keywords to understand whether the research is narrative, is storytelling, personal accounts, life history, one's life history, personal life history. And it is collection and analysis of narratives, life stories, personal experience. Next, we have comparative research, which compares two or more groups of phenomena or systems to identify similarities or difference. The keywords of this research is comparison, contrast, and cross-cultural. Next, this uses the methodology of cross-sectional and studies, analysis of comparative data. We have process-based research, which focuses, its main idea is to focus and understand the process for the improvement of process to improve the methodology or the mechanism so that there is a better outcome. So the keywords used in this process-based research is steps, mechanism, efficiency, improvement. And then the methodology is workflow analysis, process mapping, system evaluation. Diagnostic research, another type of research which is aiming to determine nature, the characteristic of the phenomena, and which is often used in clinical researches on organizational settings. So the keywords to identify this type of research would be identification, diagnosis, evaluation. They use a lot of survey, they use a lot of interview, and they find the root cause analysis. That is the methodology adapted. Next, we have logic based. So here in this logic based research, there is a systematic reasoning. The systematic can be inductive or deductive. So the idea is to investigate the problem and find conclusions. And this, the keyword is logical reasoning, hypothesis testing, argumentation. Then we have the methodology, which could either be deductive from a known hypothesis to coming to a conclusion, or inductive from unknown to known. Then we have reasoning and formal logic. Next type of research is deductive research. It's testing and hypothesis based on existing theory, moving from general principles to identification of specific observation. So we have to identify this type of research, we might have words like hypothesis driven, general to specific theory testing. And they use the methodology of experiments, survey, hypothesis driven studies. Next, we have just the opposite, which is inductive research, which develops general theories from specific observation. They are often exploratory in nature. And it is the keywords to identify this type of research would be data driven, patterns specific to general. And it uses the methodology of grounded theory. It is a qualitative analysis. It is observation based research. Now we have structured and unstructured. The structured research follows a predefined, already existing framework with fixed methodology, and there is no change in the methodology. It ensures consistency. And the words to identify structured research would be framework, predefined methods, rigid structure. They are not open-ended, they are closed-ended. And this could be done in controlled experiments. The methodology are controlled experiment, structured survey. Then we finally have unstructured research, which is flexible and open-ended, allowing for deep exploration without predefined constraints. Now we have the keywords to identify this type of research is open-ended, exploratory, flexible. So they use the methodology of ethnographic studies, interviews, or qualitative methods. Right. Finally, to conclude this session or this research aptitude, this would be the final conclusion. We have a couple of number of research types. The research type is mainly classified according to the nature, according to the approach, according to the purpose, according to the logic, by data collection methodology, by time frame, by structure. So, based on the nature, we have basic research, applied research, and action research. Based on the approach, we have qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. Based on purpose, we have descriptive research, exploratory research, correlational research, experimental research, longitudinal research, and cross-sectional research. So when I say based on nature, this is the key word. Under this category, these types of research could be classified. If there is a question where it says, these are the research which is classified under the based under nature, then we have three research types. One is basic, applied, action. Approach is qualitative approach, quantitative approach, or mixed approach. The purpose, when it comes to the purpose of the research, we have the purpose could be descriptive, the purpose could be exploratory, the purpose could be correlational or experimental or longitudinal or cross-sectional. Now, when we go with logic, if it is logic, if there is a question in NET, which are the research methods which goes with logic, then these three comes under that: deductive, inductive, and logic based. And any research, the research types which could be falling under the category of data collection methodology. So a research type which collects data, the research types would be case study, survey, ethnographic, narrative, phenomenological, process-based, grounded theory. All these research types collects data, right? And the research types which works on time frame is longitudinal and cross-sectional. And research type which works by structure is the structured and unstructured, right? These are the main classifications. All the types of research will fall under the category of nature, approach, purpose, logic, data collection methodology, or time frame or structure. This is about, these are the easy ways for you to identify. Now, we also have keywords to identify research type. The keywords, if it is descriptive, the keywords could be observation, characteristics, and documentation. If it is experimental, if a research is based on experiments, then the keywords could be manipulation, control group, cause effect. Where do you find these keywords? These keywords would be in the questions. If you find these keywords, we should be able to understand that these keywords are used in experimental research. And when we see the keyword like questionnaire, self-support, or sampling, then the research would be survey research. If you find the keyword like in-depth, single entity, and contextual, then it is case study. And historical, we will have keywords like past events, archival, or document analysis. If it is inductive, we will have keywords like pattern recognition, specific to general. If it is detective, we should be looking for keywords like hypothesis testing or general to specific. So these keywords will help us to identify. If you find the keywords in the question, it becomes easy to identify the answer. And to conclude with the most commonly used UGC-NET research types so far, the analysis, the most common out of all this, we have about 20 to 29 research types. But the recurring question, most of them comes with descriptive research, experimental research, survey research, historical research, or action research. These five are the most repeated descriptive research types which has been recurring in UGC-NET. So, descriptive research, it is used to analyze the characteristics of population. Experimental always goes with the word controlled environment or controlled studies, right? It's generally done in psychology and sciences. Survey is frequently used in the subject of social studies. Historical research is a research which is essential for humanities, and action research is done in the field of education and social science. So descriptive, population, experimental, it is done in psychology and sciences, survey research in social sciences, historical research, humanity, and action research in education and social sciences. That's about the research methodology to do with. So we will come back with more information or some other topic in our next class. That's all for today. Thank you for your time and all the best for your preparation.